afternoon and good evening to everyone joining us from around the world. Welcome to our panel discussion on migrant youth advocating for gender equality through social cohesion. My name is Hayrunnisa Kalac, and I'm honored to be your moderator for this important conversation. As a project manager at the Alliance for Shared Values, I lead initiatives that empower young leaders in civic engagement. My background in sociology and religion has shaped my passion for fostering dialogue, inclusion, and community empowerment. I'm also actively involved in interfaith initiatives, working to build bridges across diverse communities. I'm excited to guide today's discussion, and I look forward to meaningful conversations with our panelists. Migration is a defining global issue, shaping the lives of millions of young people who relocate across borders due to conflict, economic hardship, climate change, or personal aspirations. As they adjust to new environments, they often face challenges related to education, employment, cultural adaptation, and gender equality. They navigate the complexities of dual identities, holding on to their roots while seeking belonging in their host communities. So today we are fortunate to have a diverse panel of young advocates joining us from across the globe, including the United States, Turkey, Romania, Greece, Sweden, and Ukraine. They bring unique perspectives shaped by their lived experiences and their efforts in driving social change. This discussion will shed light on common challenges, explore meaningful strategies for empowerment, and highlight the importance of solidarity in advancing gender equality and social cohesion. Before we begin, I'd like to give a quick overview of how the panel will run. We have 5 incredible speakers, and each will have about 5 to 7 minutes to present. I will call them up one by one, and around the 7-minute mark, I will give a quick reminder to wrap up so that we stay on schedule. After all the presentations are done, we will open the floor for Q&A. So anyone in the audience, if you have any questions for our speakers, please feel free to leave them in the chat box, and we will be sure to address them during the Q&A session. We look forward to hearing everyone's thoughts and engaging with everyone today on the panel. So to kick off our panel, it is my great pleasure to introduce someone whose dedication and leadership have made this very discussion possible. Nesibe Bolat is not only our first speaker, but also the organizer of this panel, and we sincerely thank her for bringing us all together today. Nesibe is the coordinator of the youth department of ADVU Association, where she works tirelessly to empower young women, strengthen leadership skills, and promote social participation. As a project manager and mentor, she has been instrumental in creating inclusive initiatives that support both youth and children, including her work with the Centru de Zi Happy Children Project. Her commitment to fostering personal growth and community engagement is truly inspiring, and we are honored to have her share her insights with us today. Please join me in welcoming Nesibe Bolat to talk to us about the power of social cohesion in supporting migrant youth.
Thank you, Ms. Hayrunnisa. First of all, I want to say that I'm so happy to be here with these successful women. My name is Nesibe, and I am the coordinator of the youth department in ADVU Association. ADVU is a non-profit association born from the desire to create a space for open and constructive dialogue in which diversity is not only accepted, but also valued. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the young people, those who have crossed borders in search of safety, opportunity, and a future where their voices are not silenced. Though I may not be a migrant young woman myself, I understand what it means to live outside of my home country for my whole life. And I understand the challenges of navigating a culture that is not fully your own, of adapting to new customs and of finding a sense of belonging in a place that sometimes feels unfamiliar. And migration has become a defining phenomenon in Europe, shaping the lives of millions. As of 2023 now, more than 42 million people living in the European Union were born outside of its borders. And among them, young migrants face some of the most profound challenges, and many arrive in unfamiliar societies where they must navigate new languages, education systems, and labor markets while grappling with cultural adaptation and social acceptance, of course. For example, in Greece, unaccompanied minors who arrives in refugees often find themselves in dire situation, struggling to access basic services such as like shelter, healthcare, and education. As of 2022, it was reported that over 5,000 unaccompanied minors were living in temporary shelters or even on the streets, with many of them exposed to exploitation. So sometimes also sometimes trafficking too. And despite some improvements, many still face like severe delays in asylum procedures, leaving them vulnerable and without access to education or employment opportunities. On the other hand, in France, for example, young migrants face significant hurdles when it comes to having their educational qualification recognized. And according to 2020 report by the European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights, over 30% of young migrants in France reported difficulty in having their educational credential validated, which often leads to underemployment or stagnation in low-skilled jobs. And additionally, many young migrants face language barriers and cultural adjustments, which can make integration into the French school system and job market even more difficult. For example, in Germany, has made substantial efforts to integrate migrant youth through education and vocational training programs. However, many migrant youth still encounter challenges, and particularly in overcoming language barriers and coping with trauma from the migration journeys. And according to the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees, approximately 50% of young refugees in Germany reported experiencing discrimination in schools and workplaces, often resulting in social exclusion and limited career prospects. Despite government programs like Youth Migration Services, aiming to assist with integration, discrimination, and the complexity of navigating a new social system remain major obstacles. Yet, despite these challenges, young migrants contribute significantly to their host communities. Many become entrepreneurs, students excelling in universities, or activists pushing for social change. And initiatives like the European Network of Migrant Women and the Migrant Youth Leadership Program empower young migrants to advocate for their rights and build inclusive communities as well. And their resilience and determination, I think, are proof that migration is not just about seeking refuge, but also about encouraging societies with diverse perspectives and skills. And among these challenges, gender equality remains a persistent struggle. Young migrant women and marginalized gender groups face the double burden of integration and discrimination as well. And many of them come from societies where their potentials was limited by outdated traditions, only to arrive in new countries where different forms of exclusive persist. The right to education, the right to work without discrimination, and the right to live without fear of gender-based violence should not be privileges. So they should be fundamental rights for all. And migrant women in particular are at a high risk of gender-based violence, exploitation, and discrimination. Many of them work in informal or low-paying jobs with little legal protection. According to the European Institute for Gender Equality, migrant women in Europe are less likely to be employed than both native-born women and also the migrant men. So highlighting the gendered barriers that persist in access to economic independence. This is why I believe that the social cohesion is the bridge that can close these gaps. It's the solution to all of these issues. And it is not enough to merely allow migrants to exist within a society. They must be included, embraced, and empowered. This means accessible education programs and employment opportunities that recognize their skills, and community initiatives that celebrate that rather than isolate diversity. It means amplifying migrant voices in policy making and ensuring that their perspectives shape the societies they are a part of. And migration should not be seen as a challenge to overcome, but as an opportunity to build stronger, more inclusive societies. The young people who cross borders are not just seeking refugee or better opportunities. They are bringing new perspectives or talents and resilience that enrich the communities they become a part of. And that is the most important part. Thank you.
Thank you, Nesibe, for sharing your insights. You really highlighted, I think, how social cohesion can make a difference in the lives of migrant youth, especially young women, facing both integration and discrimination challenges. And it's inspiring to hear how these young people can, they're not just adapting, but they're actively contributing to their communities. So this conversation is really a great reminder that migration isn't just a challenge, but it's also an opportunity for growth and inclusion. Thank you again for your work, your hard work, and for being here with us, and also for bringing us together on this panel. Thank you.
Thank you as well, of course.
Our next speaker is a dedicated advocate for youth empowerment and refugee integration. Olena Lazarieva is a humanitarian services professional and the founder of Hope for Ukraine. She plays a key role in supporting Ukrainian refugees in Romania through workshops, psychological training, and social initiatives. As the head of the Olympics Snagov Bucharest project and the creator of the Joy Day Family Festivals, she has helped countless young refugees find stability and belonging in their new environment. Today, she will share her insights on the challenges and solutions for young Ukrainian refugees in Romania. Please welcome Olena Lazarieva.
Hello, everyone. My name is Olena Lazarieva, and I'm so happy to speak today at the conference. Today, I will talk about youth Ukrainian refugee in Romania and their challenges and solutions. First of all, I would like you to show the video, short video, about my personal story from the moment I became a refugee till now. And after, I will proceed with my presentation. My name is Olena Lazarieva. I am 35 years old, and I, like millions of Ukrainians, became refugees 3 years ago. Like all my compatriots, I experienced the moment when life was divided into before and after. In just one day, everything changed. I found myself alone with my child in a foreign country, while my husband joined the army and my parents and sister remained under occupation in Chernihiv. Romania welcomed us with warmth and support, offering humanitarian aid and housing, for which I am very deeply grateful. At first, I believed that the war would end in a few weeks and we would soon return home, but reality turned out differently. I had a huge psychological burden, first separation from my husband, anxiety for my relatives in Ukraine, uncertainty about the future. All this lay like a heavy burden on me. I was forced to be both mother and a father for my son, hiding my own pain in tears. A month after the war began, I found the first job in Bucharest because I understood one thing. In any situation, you must rely on yourself. I had to become a pillar of strength not for only my son, but also for family who remained in Ukraine and faced even greater hardships than I did. Driven by a desire to help my fellow Ukrainians, I crossed paths with organizations such as ANAIS, Olympics Snagov, and World Vision Romania. I began working on projects aimed in integration Ukrainians into Romanian society, a mission I continue to do nowadays also. A fateful meeting with Carmen Nemes, director of ANAIS, changed everything. From the very first conversation, we knew we were both strong women capable of helping others like us. For nearly 3 years, ANAIS has been more than just an organization. It has been a source of unwavering support and friendship for Ukrainian women who have endured immense hardship during the war. Together with the ANAIS team, through meaningful workshops, we have helped many Ukrainian women and children regain their confidence, learn about their rights in a new country, build their lives from scratch, and believe in a brighter future. There were many challenges along the way, but we overcame them together because we shared a common goal: to do good and achieve real change. Beyond integration projects, ANAIS has also provided us with a wonderful space where my colleague and me organized Joy Day Family Festival for both Ukrainian and Romanian communities. These events give people a chance to showcase their talents, embrace creativity, and connect with each other, building bridges between nations. A year ago, I founded the Hope for Ukraine Foundation and developed a project aimed at helping Ukrainian children navigate wartime and post-war relativities through sport and psychological support. My goal is to grow this initiative as a crucial way to raise resilient and strong spiritual youth, strong belief in future. I know that it's possible. I am deeply grateful to ANAIS for their trust, support, and the opportunity to be part of this important mission. Thank them for helping people to improve their life. Thank you for everything we have achieved together and for believing in me, in my ability to help others. Together, we are strong.
Thank you very much for attention, for seeing this video. I shared my story, and then I will proceed with the facts on which I worked from my experience and from experience in other refugees. The war started in 2022, changed life of millions of Ukrainians. Young people aged 16-35 faced many problems where they tried to adopt. Romania has welcomed many Ukrainian refugees. The government, NGOs, local people help them integrate. Today, I will talk about the problem young people face in Romania and possible solutions, which I think we can do something. Main challenge to young Ukrainian refugee in Romania is the first is psychological trauma and loneliness. Many young refugees feel lost, scared, and alone. They have lost their home, friends, and they don't know what to do, what will be tomorrow. This can lead to stress, depression, and anxiety. Solution: free psychological help from NGOs. Such NGOs like Cohesion Romania, ANAIS, UNICEF, UNHCR provide such help. Social events to bring Ukrainians and the Romanians together. For example, such festival which I introduced, Joy Day, which make a great input and integration to nations in each other. Support groups for Ukrainian women and teenagers with ANAIS still provide for refugees. Finding a job, the second step. Many refugees struggle to find a good job because some employees don't want to hire them because they see them as temporary workers. Others cannot work in their professionals because of complicated rules. Solution: more retraining programs for professionals to make them more simple, not to lose the real professionals. Language classes, educational programs to help refugees find jobs. We have a lot of professionals, such great doctors, great journalists, great lawyers, who cannot lose their time here to work in hotels, in cleaning, and they can input a lot in economic in Romania also. Discrimination and bullying. Yes, it's true. I am a mother and I faced to this also in the schools. Some Ukrainians hear a phrase, it's like, go back to Ukraine. But can you imagine that a lot of Ukrainians don't have place to come back? In school, universities and workplace, some Romanians believe that refugees take their resources. And solution, we have to provide information campaign to explain the situation to Ukrainian refugees. Anti-discrimination projects led by NGOs. We worked a lot with this direction with association ANAIS also, encouraging Ukrainians to participate in local activities. The next problem is problems for children and teenagers. it's very hard for them to adopt. They don't know the language. They miss their friends. They feel lost. We have to provide sport and psychological programs. I personally work on such project at Olympics Nagov and developing now on the program within the frame of my charity and foundation, which was mentioned in the video. More support and inclusive education also. Challenges for young Ukrainian refugees who want to start a business. It's very main. It's a very big problem, I think, because many young Ukrainians want to do more than just survive. They want to create something new. They want to start businesses, but it's not easy. There are many challenges, legal rules, lack of money, language barrier, different. However, some programs help refugees start businesses. Training programs, grants, financing support from international organizations, which can help. The problem of getting permanent residency for refugee aged 16-35 in Romania. For many Ukrainians who found shelter in Romania, getting permanent residency PR is a big challenge. People this age face a problem. Years spent under temporary protection don't count toward this, even if they have worked officially all this time and pay taxes. For students who study in governmental university, it's not a big problem. For young men who want to remain here and who don't have place to come back, it's a really problem. This creates a difficult situation. Many people have nowhere to return to. As I mentioned, their children go to school, learn Romanian, and adapt to a new life. People integrate, pay taxes, but no clear path, no stable status. Possible solution. I think that count the year. We can go to this goal to count the years under temporary protection as a part of required time for PR for those who worked and pay taxes. Create a simplified PR process for refugees who have integrated work, education, language skills. Consider special naturalization program for those who have adapted and want to stay. Main challenges in starting business. Legal and bureaucratic barriers. To open a business, refugees must understand Romanian laws. Some business require special permits, which are hard for foreigners to get in. Without Romanian citizens, refugees cannot get sometimes of governmental support. Solution: free legal consultations, business courses that explain the registration process. I'm happy to be a part of this program within the frame of World Vision Romania. And also partnership with Romanian citizens to help with business legalization. For example, when people don't have startup capital, many refugees don't have money. They cannot get bank loans because they don't have residence here in Romania. Solutions: finding grants and financial aid. Training on how to apply for grants, microfinancing program for international organization. There are a lot of ways to receive grants. I know personally now I'm studying how to improve making my own program, how to develop, how to apply. For Vision Romania has a very nice program till the end of this year for Ukrainian refugee. They provide studying, they provide given grants for starting business. The next problem is language and cultural barriers. Without Romanian language skills, it's hard to work. Yes, it's understandable. Solution: intensive Romanian courses for entrepreneurs. Also, it's very important. Mentorship programs with Romanian business people. Business networking events to help entrepreneurs connect. We have here a very strong Ukrainian community. We try to provide such events, and it's very, very useful. Support through grants and education. I talk about, and I don't want to waste time, and I want to get further, but I want to see that everybody who want to apply, it's not a problem. You have to believe in yourself, and I will tell there's several programs. It's AU for Business, funding for small businesses, UNICHR grant support for business ideas from Ukrainian refugee, NGO grants, for example, Vision Romania, which I mentioned. I want to conclude my presentation. Ukrainians have already shown that they can adapt in any situation. Now they need support to reach their full potential, not just to survive, but to contribute to economy and society. My story shows that even in the hardest time, we can find the strength not only to survive, but also to have another people. To help young Ukrainian integrate, we must expand psychological support, education, and anti-discrimination programs. More grants should be available for young entrepreneurs. Ukraine has lost millions of young people to war, we know, but they must not to lose themselves. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Olena, for sharing your story with us. And your work demonstrates the impact of community support in addressing challenges like psychological trauma, employment barriers, and discrimination faced by these young refugees. And it's inspiring to see how your team is creating solutions through mentorship and language courses and, grant opportunities, ensuring that young Ukrainians not only survive, but thrive. So your message really underscores the importance of that and the importance of providing opportunities for the youth to contribute and to rebuild their lives. And I think that's a really important, and I think you are a great example of that. So thank you for sharing. And I'm excited to continue this important conversation with you and everyone here. All right. I want to remind everyone that's watching that if you guys have any questions for our speakers, feel free to leave them in the chat box, and we will get to them later after all the presentations. So our next speaker is someone who truly embodies resilience and empowerment. Sükran is a board member at Olympus Youth Center, where she plays a key role in developing youth programs, organizing educational seminars, and fostering social engagement. She also serves as a mentor at the PIGI Association, guiding middle school students in their personal development. While pursuing a degree in biomedical sciences, she remains deeply committed to supporting and uplifting young people. Today, she will share her powerful personal journey and her dedication to helping other young refugees navigate their challenges. Please welcome Sükran.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to say that I'm grateful to be here today and to be able to share my story and be a voice for other people who had to escape their country for a better life. In recent years, many people from Turkey have been forced to leave their country due to political reasons. And many families have been separated. Some parents had to flee while their children stayed behind, not knowing if or when they would see each other again. Some of them left their homes, their careers, everything they had built in their whole life, just to move to a new country and start a new life with nothing but fear, actually. And I know all of that because my family was one of those families. So I have my own story and my own journey about it. My own journey started in August 2017 when me and my family came to Greece as political refugees from Turkey. My siblings and I arrived here separately from our parents. Back then, I'm not sure if I fully understood that I was leaving my whole life in Turkey behind because I was only 11 years old. But I definitely know that something was not normal because of the uneasiness inside me and because of the adults around me who were acting anxious and tense all the time. When I finally arrived here with my older and younger brother, on one hand, I was really happy to reunite with my dad because we were separated for 14 months. On the other hand, though, I was really upset and anxious because my mom was not with us. She was going to come here by herself. And I knew that her journey here would not be easy. And it really wasn't. It took 1 month for her, if I remember correctly, it took 1 month for her to finally join us. And I'm sure that 1 month was difficult for each one of us in many different ways. But after some time passed, we decided to stay here permanently, while my older brother decided to continue his life in Spain. So the rest of us focused on settling here and starting this new life. I don't know if you guys know, but there are many cultural similarities between Turkey and Greece. But there was this one thing that was very difficult and very different, especially for me, and it was the language. Greek was the biggest challenge for me, and it was the hardest part of me adapting to my new life here. Because of that, when we first came here, I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to explore the new city that we were living in. I didn't want to have fun. I didn't want to meet new people, maybe. I didn't want to go to the supermarket because I couldn't understand anything. I couldn't speak to anyone. And that really scared me. When that was the case, I had to start school, obviously. After a month or so, I started school. I never felt comfortable going there, even though the teachers and the students were really nice to me. They were really helpful towards me. I still didn't want to go because I didn't understand anything. I would go every day, attend all of the classes, but come back home without understanding or learning anything. And that was really exhausting and tiring. I even remember going to my parents every night crying and saying that I will never learn this language, I'm never gonna make it, I don't want to live here, and all that. And this went on for a long time because not knowing the language and not being able to communicate with people was the main reason behind my lack of confidence. And I felt really isolated during that time. But I remember the first time I started to express myself with just a few words, the first time I was part of a conversation, the first time I answered the teacher's questions, that's when I realized that I was finally adapting here to my new life. And it might sound like a small thing, maybe, but I even remember feeling less like an outsider when I finally started getting similar or even better grades than my classmates. So maybe it wasn't that small after all. Of course, none of this happened overnight. There were many small, hesitant steps behind every moment of this progress. I realize now, though, that every step was really important for me to be here today. And yeah, as a refugee and a girl, finding my place in a new country, building my identity, continuing my education was a challenge on its own. And let's be honest, finding out who you are is hard on its own, but finding out who you are in a country you know nothing about is even more hard. And some time passed, and I realized that it wasn't only me who felt like that. I saw many young people who felt the same way and who had the same problems and struggles like me. That's why it became so important to me to get involved in projects that support young people in their social life, in their education, in their communities, you know. And I try to help also younger girls who came here as children, just like I did, so that they can express themselves better. They can adapt here more easily without facing more struggles and problems. And since I've been through similar experiences and similar problems, I know how much of a difference guidance and support can make for those people. And of course, moving to a new country, learning new things about that country, and trying to adapt is never easy. No one can tell you that it's easy. But I know that with the right support system, those young people can achieve their full potential. And once I was that little girl who had just come here and was trying to adapt, but now I'm trying to be a part of that support system for those who need it, and a lot of people need it. Yeah, today I shared my own story with you all, and yeah, today I've shared my own story with you all. I've shared my own story with you all which shows the same shared struggles and shared problems with other young refugees. And we just have to support one another. We just have to support each other. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sükran. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. Your story is such a powerful reminder of the resilience that young refugees show every day. And you really captured how language, identity, and support systems can shape someone's experience in a new place. And it's clear that community and mentorship that you mentioned make a huge difference. And I hope we can all take that to heart as we think about how to better support young migrants. Thanks again for being here and for your inspiring words.
Thank you so much.
Before we move on to our next speaker, we have some comments in the chat that I just quickly want to read. From Elise, we have Olena, thank you for such an important message about the situation of Ukrainians in Romania. Thank you for your story, she said. And then we have from Gül, thank you very much for this program. All these women are wonderful. Thank you so much, Sükran. Everyone is saying thank you. If any of you have comments or questions, please leave them in the chat and we will get to them as time permits. Thank you to everyone watching. All right, our next speaker is a dedicated advocate for gender equality and youth empowerment. Milena Vergara Reyes is a senior member of Girl Up Romania, where she has played a key role in lobbying for policy change, engaging with the United Nations, and driving impactful NGO projects. Through her work, she has been instrumental in empowering young women, advancing gender equality, and fostering community engagement. Her experience as a project coordinator and youth program facilitator highlights her passion for advocacy, leadership, and meaningful social change. We're honored to have her with us today as she shares her insights on international careers and migrant youth. Please welcome Milena Vergara Reyes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Hayrunnisa. Thank you to my fellow panelists who have shared really inspiring stories. And thank you to everyone joining right now and those who will be listening to the recording. The journey of a migrant is an extraordinary journey, not only because of the resilience, but what we transform it into. If we start off with my international journey and what I will speak about today, it's about how to transform what might seem as a fragmented geographical journey into something that can be empowering. So at the age of 22, I have lived in 10 different countries. Those have been willing relocations, but for many, it can lead to a fragmented career path, a sense of displacement, and uncertainty about where to belong. I think, however, it is very important to use this movement as well to focus on how to build a strong, internationally rooted foundation that can transcend geographic location. So today I would like to speak to you about how young migrants can leverage this, their experiences, to drive gender equality and social cohesion. So if we move on to the next slide, I think the first thing that needs to be addressed is overcoming the age and experience dichotomy. There is a long-standing misconception that being young equates to being inexperienced, and that the youth don't have something substantial to put on a CV. But I think we are proving otherwise, and we are realizing that experience is not just about years worked, but about the impact made. At the same time, organizations support us and recognize the power of youth. So the narrative is also shifting. And if you are a young migrant, your experiences, even though they might be unconventional, are still very valid and important, and they highlight your resilience and how you can add value. So if we begin with the first step on how we can support our migrant youth, and we move on to the next slide, we have the importance of joining bigger forces. So driving impact, it does not happen in isolation. We have larger organizations which play a key role for the youth who want to create change. 3 institutions that have been instrumental to my journey, as well as many others, have been the United Nations Girl Up Foundation, the FIRST initiative here in Stockholm, and the Villars Institute in Switzerland. So each of these platforms have emphasized very important qualities, such as mentorship, international networks, and credibility, and so that I can navigate professional spaces. If we begin with the United Nations Girl Up, through them, we were able to lobby with Parliament for issues such as human trafficking, gender equality, policy change. But more than anything, it gave a sense of community for high school girls. We realized our strengths through numbers. And also, I want to highlight that when I wanted to join here, there was a language barrier. I didn't speak Romanian fluently, and everyone else did, nevertheless, they still opened their doors to me. And instead, I used my value as a migrant to connect with international bodies and foster collaboration. So I want to also emphasize that there are some bureaucratic gray areas which are often overlooked when we want to engage with change. With FIRST, here at my university in the Stockholm School of Economics, it has provided me a corporate network, feeling comfortable in high professional settings, but also countless of work opportunities, which otherwise would have been more difficult to find. And finally, you have other institutes such as the Villers Institute, partially founded by the World Economic Forum, which also specifically targets international students to lead business change. So all of these organizations have really utilized the aspects of being international, of having diverse backgrounds as a force for good, and they are essential for us to drive impact. If we move then forward to the next slide, I would also like to discuss having transferable careers. If we begin with documentation, one would be surprised just how far a picture of an informal meeting with an organization, the impact that can have in a migrant's journey. Later, when moving abroad, that serves as a certifying experience of where you have worked. It's a way to empower the youth, which is why also organizations must emphasize processes such as certifying these experiences. Apart from that, we have personal branding. So personally, I created a LinkedIn when I was 15 years old, and that empowered me to seek out professional experiences, and it made me empowered to share things with my network. And I have continued to create an international network. Thanks to social media platforms such as LinkedIn, we can now create a CV that transcends the geographic location of where we are and also the reputation of our society. And lastly, it's important to connect the dots in your storytelling. So as migrants, each of our journeys is unique, and we have to form a story in which we always show a sense of direction and an impact of what we're working with. This is what also Harvard Business School describes as socializing your personal brand, and how important that is in actually reaching new audiences and writing your narrative. And finally, if we move on to the following slide, I would like to emphasize the importance of network support. And more than offering jobs and opportunities, it's also about building human capital and cultural capital for migrants. So human capital is the knowledge and skills that people realize to achieve their full potential. And cultural capital is about the social assets, the values and behaviors. These are fundamental in actually seeing the integration, but also success of migrants. And how organizations can better support young migrants is in perhaps 3 different ways. So for example, creating mentorship programs specifically designed for international mobile youth, offer internships and fellowships that recognize non-traditional career paths, build networks where migrant youth can connect, collaborate, and elevate another. So when institutions prioritize both human and cultural capital, they actually empower migrants to lead, not only to integrate. And finally, to close off this short panel, if we move on to the next slide, I want to emphasize that the power of migrant youth is undeniable. We're living proof of resilience, adaptability, and ambition. Every generation must find its north. And I think for the migrant north, it is opportunity. It is finding ways of leveraging our diverse backgrounds. And I think we all understand that we are part of something bigger, not only our own stories. So the future is ours to shape. And I'm very honored to be shaping it along my panelists and so many other inspiring women and advocates around the world.
Thank you, Milena, for your inspiring presentation. Your focus on the importance of network support and personal branding and leveraging both human and cultural capital resonates deeply with the challenges faced by migrant youth, I think. And as you highlighted, creating a strong international CV and connecting the dots between different experiences can truly empower young people to overcome barriers and find their place in the global workforce. And your message about self-actualization and empowerment for social cohesion is a powerful reminder that every young migrant has the potential to contribute to the society, like we mentioned before, and no matter where they come from. So we look forward to seeing the continued impact of your work and the support you provide to young people in shaping a brighter, more inclusive future. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a few more comments. We have from Nuria, an amazing opportunity to listen to these amazing women really empowers awareness. From Hajar, congratulations, Sükran, have success in your life for you and the other young women. Thank you from Melody, thank you to all panelists. Milena, it is clear that you have a great passion for this subject. Could you share some practical strategies or advice for young migrants who face challenges balancing their international career aspirations with frequent geographical relocations? I think we can get back to this question in a little bit. And then from Nicole, thank you for sharing this, Milena. What an inspiration and helpful information for all migrants students abroad. I wish more people could hear this, and I agree. And we have love the talk, excellent advice from Ihania. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. All right, now we will move on to our final speaker. Our final speaker is a passionate advocate for gender equality and community empowerment. Adela Alexandru is a gender equality expert and community organizer at FILIA Center in Romania, with a background in political science and gender studies. A lifelong feminist, Adela has dedicated her career to grassroots work, believing in the transformative power of collective action. In addition to her work at FILIA, she recently earned a PhD in political science, focusing on how infrastructure disproportionately impacts women in rural areas. Her commitment to systematic change and amplifying women's voices makes her a vital force for social justice. Today, she will discuss the role of gender equality in strengthening social cohesion. Please join me in welcoming Adela Alexandru.
Thank you so much for the introduction remarks, Hayrunnisa, and thank you to all my colleagues in this panel. I think you're doing an amazing job, and I definitely wanted to start by thanking you, each and every one of you. Also to everyone attending this panel, I think it's super important that we have this discussion. I'm really honored to be here with you today. A big thank you also goes to the Association for Dialogue and Universal Values for having me, for the invitation, and bringing this important discussion to CSW, which is the most important space for discussing women's voices and women's issues. I think it makes it even more important. So my name is Adela Alexandru. I'm a community organizer. I work with FILIA. FILIA is one of the most active, most known feminist NGO in Romania. Our base in Bucharest, but we work in the entire country. And we say about ourselves that we make women voices heard. And how do we do this? Well, through direct work in communities, through advocacy and activism and awareness raising. We are building a solidarity-based society where the diverse rights and needs of women are respected. Our focus is on women's safety, fighting gender-based violence, but also ensuring access to sexual and reproductive health, and nonetheless increasing women's political representation. As a community organizer, I've learned that the challenges we face are often shaped by local realities. For many of the women we work with at FILIA, the most urgent issues aren't about health or rights, but about basic needs like access to clean running water or safe transportation for their children. At FILIA, we start by listening to women, and I think that's a very important point to just mention. We, of course, don't have all the answers, but by creating a safe space for dialogue, we help communities unite. We help women coming together and pushing for change, even in tough situations. While I'm not a migrant and I don't work directly with migrant communities, I've spent nearly a decade now for advocating for gender equality, and I believe that gender equality is key to building social cohesion. But what is social cohesion? I've been thinking about this when I accepted the invitation to talk in this panel, and I believe it's the glue that holds society together. Social cohesion isn't about creating something special for migrants, it's just about creating trust, creating the sense of belonging, as Olena said, and solidarity across different groups, as Sükran said. A cohesive society is one where basically no one is left behind. Without gender equality, though, social cohesion can't truly exist. We have to achieve that too. Women and marginalized groups must have the same rights, the same opportunities, and the voice in decision making. But how do we achieve this? Well, that is a long story, but I will keep it as short as possible, and I will just mention that community organizing can be an effective method to achieve gender equality. It is about bringing people together to solve shared problems and empowering them to take action. And I would like to ask you, Hayrunnisa, if you can play the video. It is a video about the community that we are working in, and then I will tell you more. I'm sorry, we don't have it in English, it's just in Romanian, but I think that you were able to get the idea behind it and to understand that basically what we are doing there in communities to bring people together to the same table and make sure that there is a safe space where everyone can discuss and share whatever they feel like sharing. So what you just witnessed is the community of Valea Mare Pravăț. The village is called Gura Pravăț, and we've been working there for 4 years now. And in the video, we are basically explaining that we don't have the perfect solutions and there are no such things, but just listening to the communities is the first step that we can do to foster change together. So here's how we use the method, community organizing. We create spaces where women can openly share their challenges, they can voice their concerns, and we meet regularly with them monthly in places like the ones that you just saw, someone's house, a school, a community center, a cultural center. In these spaces, we listen, we learn together, and we explore what solutions can we advocate for. We don't always have all the answers, and I think that I've already mentioned this, but together we are strong and we can always ask others for help too. Over time, we aim to have women take the lead in their communities, pushing for change because the solutions that they are seeking benefit everyone around them. At the same time, we do inform women about their rights and we empower them. We help them navigate the healthcare system, encouraging them to get tested. We guide them through the justice system, supporting them to report violence. We also talk to them about their role in civic participation. And to give you a better idea of life in these rural, underprivileged communities, even though I think that you already kind of got the idea from the video I just shared with you, imagine that you are living where the paved road ends. Imagine there is no running water, or if there is, the mayor has made you sign an agreement that you cannot drink or cook with it. Imagine that there are no job opportunities, so you have to work for your neighbors or gather mushrooms or berries from the forest to sell them to make some money. Imagine that the nearest hospital is 10 to 20 kilometers away, but you don't have a car or you don't have a driving license. There is no public transport. Imagine that your children have to walk up to 5 kilometers to get to school, and they are at risk from stray dogs along the way. Imagine the school is in poor conditions and it's so cold that they often miss in school every couple of weeks because they get sick. You want the best for your family and for your community, but each time you try to ask for something from the public authorities, you face sexism, racism, and classism, with people looking down on you. Well, these are the issues. These are the issues, and I'm sure they're not unique to rural communities or the women I'm working with. These are systemic problems that migrant communities also face. So that's why I believe gender equality is not just about women. Gender equality is about bringing and building solidarity, stronger, more connected communities. I want to conclude by saying that true social cohesion requires systemic change too, because we're talking about systemic problems. So governments and public authorities must go beyond promises and they have to take real action. At the same time, we, the civil society, NGOs, grassroots movements, and community leaders play a critical role in holding institutions accountable and continuing to advocate for those whose voices are being ignored, ensuring solutions are created with communities, not just for communities. I'm so happy that I managed to talk to you today. Thank you for your time. And if you have any questions for me or for my colleagues, we will be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Adela. You really drew us such a powerful image with your words. I appreciate that. And your work highlights really a crucial reality that gender equality is not just a woman's issue, like you said, but it's a cornerstone of social cohesion and community resilience. The challenges that you described, from lack of infrastructure to systematic barriers, they're struggles that many marginal communities, including migrants, face daily. And your emphasis on community organizing as a method for change it's inspiring. And it reminds us that real progress happens only when people come together to push for solutions. And as you said, true social cohesion requires both systemic change and grassroots action. So your work is a testament on the power of listening, like you said, empowering and advocating for those whose voices are too often ignored. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us today. I really appreciate it. All right, we are done with all of our presentations and we have our Q&A session up next. I think we can go ahead and start. We already had one question that I previously read before. I believe it was for Milena. I'm going to read it again. Could you share some practical strategies or advice for young migrants who face challenges balancing their international career aspirations with frequent geographical relocations?
Thank you very much for the question. I think the first thing to address is, I think, a bit of the stigma of what a career path is supposed to look like, both looking backwards and also moving forwards. So understanding that a lot of countries, a lot of different names, a lot of different roles can actually serve you well. And it should not be something that you take as a disadvantage necessarily, because some organizations, some companies are actually looking for those type of profiles and are looking for those type of voices, especially the ones such as United Nations or United Nations Girl Up, that are worldwide and accredited. I think those also help amplify the voices. So you can do partially the work through being the young leader, but also it comes through the organizational support.
Thank you, Milena. Do we have any other questions? If anyone watching has any questions that they would like to ask in person, please let us know and we will invite you to join as a panelist. While we're waiting for any questions from the listeners, I have just a small question for everyone, whoever would like to answer. What do you think is the role of young human rights advocates to close the gap of gender equality? Does anyone have a few words to say about this?
I can start, and maybe my colleagues will like to join me in this discussion. I believe that it's not just their role, but it's everybody's role. And I was just watching this day something about forms of microfeminism. It's basically what each of us can do in very small things to fight the patriarchy that affects us all. For example, someone said that every time when someone else is saying that it's going to see a doctor, is asking, what is she doing, assuming from the start that the doctor is a female, for example, or if someone is going to do something that generally is associated with men or males, again, saying, like, assuming it is a woman, but this is just something small. Besides that, of course, each of us can do a lot of things from discussing with our small circles and larger circles about how gender stereotypes and gender norms continue to affect women nowadays, but also, for example, supporting NGOs that are already doing this kind of work to fight patriarchy through activism, through advocacy. We can, of course, each of us keep politicians accountable and making sure that they are discussing about our needs and our issues. For example, in Romania, there is this law that we can use to ask for public information. It's called law number 544, and I'm sure that there are similar mechanisms in other countries too. So from small to larger gestures, things, we can all do something to improve gender equality in our own context, in our own countries, in our own communities, from like starting to talk with the others to bigger things like attending a protest, supporting an NGO, making a donation, volunteering. So I think it's not just the youth. This is something that we can all do, but of course, it has to start somewhere.
Thank you, Adela. I also have another question in the chat for all the panelists, so I will ask that question, and if anyone wants to answer both this question and the previous one I just asked, you're more than welcome to comment on that as well. The question, how to balance the need to ask for support, help, aid, special inclusion programs to have equity, with the fact that then locals use that argument that special things are done for foreigners, migrants, and not for locals. Anyone have any comments about this?
I think the need for special support programs for migrants stems from the unique challenges they face, such as like language barriers, lack of local networks, and unfamiliarity with systems. And these programs aren't about privileging, migrants, but ensuring that they have equal opportunities to succeed. At the same time, it's important to address that local concerns by showing that these programs enrich society as a whole, and providing equity doesn't mean like taking away from locals. It means like giving everyone and the tools that they need to like contribute. And ultimately, the goal is to create a society where both like locals and migrants thrive together. So that's maybe how we can make the balance together.
Thank you, Nesibe. Anyone else want to comment on any of those questions? If not, I did have a question for Olena. You mentioned, psychological support programs. What are some informal or community-driven ways that young refugees can find emotional resilience and build a sense of belonging in their new environment?
Thank you very much for your question. We made a great job. We helped a lot of families why through sport and psychology, like I mentioned. It's because first step, you have language barrier, yes? And while sport, you cannot speak, you can connect. And after, it will be like ability to build language and to cross this language barrier. I'm not an exception. Only the fact that I knew English helped me to achieve the first job, not like my colleagues who achieved the first job like cleaning, not according to the position which we had in Ukraine. That's why sport and psychological, it's when we combine it, it's very useful to integrate fully, especially for young teenagers and pupils. We still have this meeting, and I have a big Telegram chat with Ukrainian refugees. We have also Romanian partners like ANAIS who always are ready to help. These festivals, collaborations, in each event, we have psychology and sport input. Even it is a festival, there is a psychologist. Even it is just like some games, some competitions between Ukrainians and Romanians. We have every time psychologists who can like put on the right way in integration refugees.
Thank you, Olena. I think everything that you're doing is very valuable for the refugees there. So we appreciate your work.
Thank you very much.
All right, Sükran, I have a question for you too. You know, you said you now help young girls who are in the same situation that you were in. What are the biggest struggles that they face? Is it different than what you faced? And how do you support them?
Yes, I think it's more different because they're in 6th grade right now. So from what I understand, I think little kids are meaner, and something I never faced was racism. I never saw from my friends, I never had any racist comments or anything like that. But those little kids are coming to me and telling me that they're sometimes facing with that problem. And what I'm trying to tell them is, first of all, it's just a phase. You know, they're little and they're gonna grow up from that. But I'm just trying to tell them that they don't have to listen to them. They just need to focus on their own work and their own friends, because they're not gonna get anywhere by listening to those comments. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell them. Like, just focus on your own thing and do your own thing, be yourself. And with time, they're gonna learn that that's not how it works. You know, racism is not gonna get you anywhere.
Thank you, Sükran. And I believe those girls are very lucky to have you as a role model. Thank you for everything that you do. All right. Does anyone have any concluding reflections, any last words that you would like to say? All right, I'm going to take that as a no. Thank you for everything. As we conclude today's panel, I want to take a moment to reflect on the powerful stories and insights that we've heard here. Migrant youth often face the unimaginable, losing everything at a young age due to war, dictatorship, and persecution. This trauma doesn't only affect the first generation, but it ripples through to the second and third generations. We must see and understand the profound harm caused by these injustices and work towards justice for those affected. Our panelists have shared their struggles and highlighted the remarkable ways in which they are finding solutions to the challenges that they face. Their resilience and commitment to gender equality and social cohesion are truly inspiring. Today's conversation has shown that migrant youth are not merely adapting to new realities, they are actively shaping them. Whether through grassroots initiatives or policy advocacy, they are driving the change, and their voices must be heard. To our audience, whether you are activists, policymakers, educators, or community members, I hope this discussion has ignited new ideas and fostered a spirit of collaboration. Together, we can build societies where every young migrant, regardless of gender, is given the opportunity to thrive. Thank you all for being a part of this important conversation. Let's continue working towards a future that uplifts migrant youth and amplifies their contributions to creating a more inclusive, equitable world. Thank you. We have one last comment I'll just read from the comment box. It's important for schools and universities to nurture multiculturalism so that is not only coming when there's a foreigner in class. That's very true. I want to thank everyone that's also watching for all of their insights and all of their comments. And once again, thank you to all of our panelists for joining us and sharing your words. Thank you, and have a great day, have a great night wherever you may be. Bye-bye.